Welcome to another edition of Inspired Discussions, where we challenge the way you think, shattering status quos while increasing your self worth. They call me Sibley, and I'm with my co-host
Remy, realizing energy made me.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back, and y'all, those that listen to us on a regular basis and been listening to us from the beginning, you probably know like we start talking pre-podcast and we just get to talking, and I think we've been talking for maybe it's been
Almost
almost
2 hours.
how many?
I feel like almost 2 hours.
Nah, it's more than two. It's almost
Oh,
three.
what? We
It's almost
leveled up
three.
in the conversation.
Yeah. So it almost been 3 hours, and we was just talking,
I
and like
respect that.
one of the things that we was talking about, one of the many things that we was talking about is how when certain people that we have conversations with, and they say certain phrases like, yeah, if I can just be like you, blah blah blah, whatnot, and
Hmm.
we both was like, it's not about you being like me, it's about you being like you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And like,
Respecting your journey.
yep, and I was like, shoot, if it's one thing that you do want to be like us, it's just always unbecoming the person, unbecome it's to always unbecome the things that aren't you, so you can become who you really
Yeah.
was meant to be. So like, it's
Yeah.
that's one thing you want to be like us. It's that one thing. So like, that's where we want to take the conversation today, because it just ties into just leveling up, because that's all that is really uh
Hmm.
when you when you
Break it down, just
yeah,
leveling up. At the end
break
of the
it
day.
down. It's always consistently level up.
Oh,
So
nice. I
so if
like
it's
it.
one so if it's one thing that we want y'all to mimic, it's just to always to consistent. It's be consistent level up. Matter of fact, let's make this challenge this first quarter. Let's call this the level up season of the year. These next three
Okay.
months is the level up season. Like, everybody, like, ask yourself when you wake up in the morning, like, what do I gotta do to level up from my previous day? You know what I'm saying? And if you complete that task in that day, it's a success. And wake up and build on that the next day, and
Mm.
then stuff gonna start happening. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where I'm gonna take it. That was
Yeah.
probably the most authentic intro I done gave, because that all came from this right now.
No, I like it though.
Yeah,
And
let's
the level up process. We didn't talk about the challenge at all, but I still like that too. I like the implementation with that, and no, that's perfect because that's exactly. I don't do that intentionally, but I still like it because it seems like it happens more than I realize, and then it's like, you know what, I just leveled up, and then on the bonus side of that, when I'm looking back at like the moments that I had up until that point where I felt like I leveled up, I know when I've leveled up, it's more so on the level of like, oh snap, this milestone just happened or something fresh is happening in my life, and I'm like, you know what, this came through everything else that I've been through on the journey up until the last point I felt like I leveled up. And then I think about the people that I engage with or what I engage with on the levels that was constantly, refueling me and my energy at the end of the day. And I would send out like a text or a short message and be like, I just leveled up. I appreciate the value that you've applied to my journey up to this point. And most people would be like, what the heck are you talking about? Like one or two would be like thumbs up or thank you or something like that. So yeah, definitely the level up is a dope challenge to. I ain't thinking, but that is a challenge. That's a
Yeah,
dope.
and just think about it, y'all. I want y'all to think about it from this terms, like the energy of your level up. Like, as I'm to the point where, like, I always say, I don't care how you get there. I mean, of course, get there with integrity. Of course, like that's given.
Right,
Don't
right.
doing stuff that's immoral. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to do that. Like
Right.
everybody, the universe God wants to the universe, God, what however you relate to it,
Yeah.
wants to give you the kingdom. You know what I mean? You just have to align yourself to it and with it, and go and claim it and understand that it's yours. But I digressed a little bit. It was on purpose. That's a little digressed. So like the level up, you know what I mean? Like just the energy behind it, you know, it oh yeah, that's what I was saying, because that's where I was about to go. Like even if it's on, you know, not I don't necessarily want to say competitive because you don't have to be competitive,
Mm.
but sometimes it takes that like I know, you know what I'm saying, this person can't is not outworking me. You know what I mean? Like I know the way they working. Like I know I'm at the very least just as hard as a worker as them. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
that energy behind that level up. However you get there, let's
Mm-hmm.
get there. But let's just make sure you building on it day in and day out. And ultimately, that's how you begin your faith gets stronger, one, because you start to believe in yourself more,
Yep.
because and then your belief in yourself more comes from the root of things just start happening, you know, like okay, you can call them miracles or whatever, manifestations,
Miracles, blessings, whatever. Mm-hmm.
blessings, right? Yep, all the same thing. Like stuff start happening because you are aligning yourself with who you really were meant to be now. You know,
Facts.
like you're aligning yourself with who you're really meant to be. So like
Mm-hmm.
this level up, like this if you focus on it, like if you focus on that level up, like let's focus on putting that piece together. Let's
Right.
make 2021 the year of putting pieces together. Let's make the year of
Yeah.
putting pieces
That's
together.
funny you say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's where I got it from. That's where I got it from. I'm like, okay, I'm going somewhere here with this. I'm going somewhere here with this. 20,
I'm like, okay, all right.
2021 is the year of putting his pieces together. And that first piece is to focus on in this quarter, leveling up day in and day out. Because once at the end of this quarter, you're not gonna have to focus on no more because it's gonna be a habit.
Facts.
It's already gonna be a habit. And then once we done
Facts.
focusing on that, we gonna do something else the next quarter. I don't know when it flow to me and the spirit movement, but we're gonna focus on this right
Oh,
now.
we gonna have something. We gonna have something. That's guaranteed. That's
Oh
guaranteed.
yeah, no
But no,
doubt.
but what you saying makes sense. And like I said, I'm gonna continue just to supply myself as an example. At the end of the day, those moments where you align yourself up with what you're trying to achieve, and then you do that on a regular basis and start leveling up, like you said, you begin to believe in yourself at the end of the day. And once I started to notice that within myself, the biggest change was it felt like no matter what the hurdle was, it didn't necessarily feel like a hurdle. It was like, okay, it is what it is, and I'm going to get through it. While before it was like, this is a hurdle. I don't know what I'm about to do. I don't feel like going through this. Da 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 da. Like I was on that level, but then believing in myself, I was like, oh, bet I'm about to get through this. At the end of the day, it just became a normal thing, and that faith within myself. Also, after leveling up on a regular basis, like the same way you deal with stuff in regular life, after uh dealing with it for so long, you become numb to it. And that's the same way with the good things in regards to yourself and individual growth. All of that becomes a regular thing, and then it gets to the point to where it's like, you know what, all those moments that I used to fear or didn't really believe in, or I was worrying about, or I was stressing on, you begin to understand the levels that you have as an individual as well. And it's like, yo, it clicked that like, oh, everything, this is deeper and bigger than just me at the end of the day. is no longer the point of, okay, yeah, I hear my granddaddy say that or my granny say that. I know the statements that we hear on the regular that were cliche, and it's like, yo, those really mean something now. Now I understand what's going on, and I would just continue to apply that within myself. And it's like, yo, things feel a lot easier on that regard. So now, no matter what it is that I engage with, and especially if it's something that I know, not cockiness, because I'm not throwing it out there like, okay, I'm better than you. It's just on the levels that things that I know that I actually like and I am normally successful at. It's like, all right, cool, I can complete that 100%, but then I didn't know that I can complete that 110% and then turn it into something else completely different. It's like, yo, I had to go through that level up to even appreciate it.
I love that you just
Man,
use
yeah,
that 100% analogy, because I was listening to ET earlier this week, and he was like, 100% is when you go and do what's required. 120% is when you go and do what they didn't even know that you was capable of doing.
yep,
Exactly.
exactly,
So that just
exactly.
came, and I was like, you know what? That's that's mentality. Like
Yes, I didn't
that's
even watch that. So yes,
yeah, that's the key. That's the key to me executing in those three areas that I was talking about.
mm-hmm.
Doing 100, going the full mile, and doing everything that's required, but going that extra 20, because that's what's gonna separate. That's what's gonna
Right,
separate.
right. It sounds hard now, but
And going that 120 consistently, because I know how to go
oh yeah,
120. You know what
oh
I'm saying?
yeah,
I know how to go 120. Go a healthy 120 to where
yeah,
a healthy 120. A
yeah.
healthy 120 to where it's a aligned 120, and everything. It's a centered 120. A very self-aware 120.
There we go.
A
There we
self-aware
go.
120.
Exactly how we said that. That was the last episode. That was the last episode talking about the refocus, right? Or was that the one before that? One of the two.
Yeah, one of the last two. Yeah.
Yeah, that in that refocus episode, we touched on that. We when you get to that point, and though you get past it, you also realize that you didn't have enough to complete the next thing, and you still got to take a step back to refuel and go and complete the task. But now that you took that step back, you go and complete it at 100, and it's like, you know what? That's the difference right there. So that's technically the same thing. It's like you already completed it, but with you taking a step back and even have to do it again, you did over 100% right there. But now you notice the difference between the two.
Right.
Yes, that matters as well. And it sounds hard. It sounds hard off rip, because I can think of moments where I've heard that when I was younger, going that extra mile, that 110, that 120, and even then, I had an understanding of it, but I was like, man, I ain't about to be doing all that. Like in my mind, I'm like, bro, that's just too
Yeah.
much. 100 is good. I mean, I succeeded. But
Another one of
now,
those. That's another
yeah.
one of those things that's like, not to cut you off.
Oh
My
no,
bad.
you good?
Cut you off. Yeah, that's another one of those things where it's like made no sense to you whatsoever, baby. Like, man, what you talking about? Hey,
100 is good.
yeah, right. Like I'm straight. I did what you asked me to do. And like, but that's what I'm saying though. But back then, like I don't, like the journey is the journey, but you wasn't tapped into digging deep, because that's what it takes. Like you gotta
Right,
dig deep, because
right.
and that's why it's so key. Why I said it has to be a healthy 120, because if you go 120, you go overcharge, and you will ruin every relationship in your life. Because not, and if you don't ruin it, you will have friction in everyone.
No, that is real, sir. That is 100% real.
You know what I'm saying? You will ruin every relationship in your life, because I
Oh
mean,
boy. Yes. Uh-huh. That is so true. I can think of plenty of examples. Whether I may or may not be a part of that example, I'm not sure. But yes, that is 100% true. And something else with you saying that, like even like I said, even hearing that when we was younger, it's like there's a certain point where, at least for me, like when I got to the point to where it's like, okay, I know the journey. I'm hearing about, all right, it's the journey that matters, the life, that how you go about your life and putting yourself out there, et cetera, et cetera. You can think of several statements that fall in that realm. And it's like, you know what? It got to a certain point to where I really started to appreciate the journey itself. I heard it when I was younger, but I didn't really appreciate and understand the journey until a certain point. And for me, it all came through pain and suffering.
That was gonna be my next question, because I'm like, when did you start valuing the journey? Because for me, it just happened, almost 2 years ago. So I say 18 months ago with my dad, like the pain of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta really start valuing the journey and the now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, cause I was so, focus on bigger pictures. I'm so, how I am. Like I'm so macro. Like I can paint a macro picture, but did I say that right? Yeah, macro is big, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
macro. Like I'm so macro, like that I lose sight of those small things that matter for the macro bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? So like that experience, it helped me, like to compartmentalize certain things. But damn, I said
Amen.
to compartmentalize things better. Now, sometimes how you surprise yourself, like compartmentalize, like how did you wear? Where that come from?
Hey, in my head, I was like, oh, okay, 2 for 2. All right. I need to start thinking then. Okay, got it. But no, you got it though.
But yeah, through that pain, because that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, where did you realize that at? And journey's different though, because I mean,
right. That's with
well,
that. Like,
let me hold on. My bad. I'm gonna let you.
no.
Let
Go
me
ahead. Go ahead.
Before I use it.
Beyonce was the best album of the year.
Right. My dad, my whole dad transition. I can't say it was the moment where it was the moment where I completely bought into that's how I had to be. Before that, it was, becoming a father and, understanding like I'm gonna have to, be in the moment more.
Right. Okay. The bought into where that's what it had to be part. What? Like, could you break that down a little bit? You said that was the moment where you bought into this is what it had to be.
As far as like where as far as like what we was talking about with the understanding like the small things,
Okay.
small things, because
Got you.
through the whole, pregnancy and labor situation, I had a whole situation then where it put me like, oh yeah, like you gotta do this. But then my dad took me to another level up. It took me to another level. It was an experience where it was like, okay, like, and I was it's an age difference too. So I experienced more life from 25 to 31, so that played a big role and part in that too.
Right. With that, I'm just evaluating. I don't want to necessarily say compare, because me comparing it, the end result won't matter either way. But with you saying that, you had I think you said you had a moment from 20 something to 30 something. I can't remember exactly what the number was. But with you saying that, I was thinking like, okay, what is my little spurt of whatever it was time frame? And I was just thinking, I'm like, well, I can only think about all what was the greatest moment where pain and suffering was condensed all into something. And I was like, dang, I wonder if everybody has something like that, because everybody have the awareness, but the awareness normally kicks in when it's a greater moment of pain and suffering, or a greater moment where you actually is forced to see the value on your journey, and it normally comes through pain and suffering. And it's like, dang, that's something I never thought about before. Like I said, I can think of moments where I just had the
I guess
compressions of pain and suffering, but what else could there be other than pain and suffering for somebody to gain the awareness and appreciate the journey that they have, or the value of the journey? But that's
I
the only
mean,
thing I can think
like part of me is just like part of me like believe just like it's just certain things you only can learn through that energy.
of.
You know what I
Right.
mean? It's certain things that you only can learn through that energy. It's like it's like water is water, but whether it's cold or hot, like it got different uses for it. You know, only cold water is good in certain cases. Only hot water is good in certain cases. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. Like it's an experience at the end of the day, but only this type of lesson can be gained through feeling that type of way. It's
Right.
like you always say, like that energy of life and death. You know, it's
Mm.
the
Yeah.
that so
True. Man, I'm just becoming more appreciative of a lot of little details that I didn't really notice until now. Like with you using that water analogy, it's like, dang. Okay, so I'm me personally, I'm focusing on the pain and suffering, and I'm like, all right, what are the other things before it or after it that I can also appreciate that I never really noticed? And I'm like, you know what? After pain and suffering comes recovery. I've never really looked at the recovery part of anything, really. I've always focused on the pain and suffering.
and
I'm like, dang, bro, recovery is a part of that as well. Because you can only
absolutely
get recovery through pain and suffering.
exactly, and
Wow.
I love that you said you never looked at the part. You know, you never looked at the recovery, and you only looked at the pain and suffering because
Yeah.
that was that's what I had to, learn through experience because that's what I was missing when I went on the laps. I didn't, I would, I, the trauma happened and I just blinded. I didn't take time to recover. You know, I didn't take any time in that recovery mode, and it became detrimental down the road, and it was just blah, but that's just a part of that leveling up and understanding. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, look, like you gonna have these moments of pain and suffering, but take time to recover from them. Don't stay and see, and I guess that's probably a reason why I feared that. Dang, I'm being therapeutic right now and understanding some things, not just through this conversation. I guess that's why I kind of feared that recovery mode because I didn't want to stay in there too long because
Mm,
stay in there too long, like it's just as detrimental as not
right.
going there at all. So I just avoided, period, and try to, at that time thinking just avoiding it, not me having that awareness, what I just said now,
Right.
like,
Right.
you know, standing there too long is just as bad as not going in there at all. Like
Facts.
I'm fearing not going in there because I don't want to stay in there too long. But the result of that is I didn't even go in there at all, and it was just as bad if I would have stayed in there. You know, so
Right. That, and the only way I could think of that before I provide my understanding is with you not going in there at all. Now with something similar that piles up until you hit an actual recovery that you appreciate, and then it all comes out at one time.
Right.
Oh dang, no, that's real, and you just helped me realize that though recovery is understood, one way is just going through and evaluating whatever detriment or pain and suffering that you have inhabited or been a part of at the end of the day. But it's all about the way you recover, because even with that, my recovery, my way of recovering, when it was always, no matter what it was, whether it was sickle cell or a death or something like that, I shut myself off from everybody. Period. It's all right. This happened. You don't have access to me. Period. Leave me alone for 3 days to a week. I just shut myself off from everything and not just, I don't know, deal with it on my own at the end of the day. But I'm like, you know what? That isn't good, because that's always been my process. I'm just now realizing that that's the only way that I've always recovered, period, up to this day. And it's like, dang, what else? Like, what are the other ripples because of that? Because I know me shutting myself off, I know for a fact that has caused other relationships or whatnot, or me pushing people away. I didn't care who it was. Not to the level of where I am now, what we talked about earlier, understanding who I am. This was just leave me alone, period. I don't care.
Right.
So it's like, man, yeah, the way you recover also matters, and being aware of it.
Absolutely.
Dang, that's 30 some years recovering the exact same way. Golly, boy.
And man, and that's why, like what we said at the beginning,
Wow.
like it's so important. Just to, like, if you want to do one thing that we do, is unbecome all the things that you're not supposed to do, you're never meant to be.
Right.
Like, unbecome all of them, because that fear of not recovering, I had to unbecome that, because that's not what that's a lack energy. That's not an abundant energy.
Facts.
That's not an abundant energy. And
Facts.
I guess I say in the
Wow.
biblical way, it is your Father's great pleasure to give you the kingdom. Like, you
Oh, that's what I
entitled,
was. Mhm.
you entitled to that abundance. You entitled to that abundance. So why are you even fearing going into that recovery and staying in? Because you lack faith anyway, and that, it just went tenfold. Like, and that's what I said was my problem. Like, I lacked the faith, and like it had all to do with that fear of not wanting to stay in recovery too long. So,
Right. And you just reminded me what I was gonna say earlier with you saying unbecoming who you are, and how I'm taking it is appreciate the journey that you're on, because that journey is gonna lead you in the way that you should go despite it all. And that journey is going to, like you said, you're going to level up. The blueprint is going to change, but it's going to change in regards to yourself individually. So you're automatically going to lose, the old ways and whatnot. At the same time, you being aware of your journey and the values on your journey, good and bad, those are also for you. Don't make it harder for yourself when the powers that be is going to provide the things that are the hurdles that you actually need. Don't damage yourself by placing more hurdles behind the hurdles that are actually meant for you, or even before you. You get what I'm saying?
yeah. I got you.
And I guess the only way you can realize that is by appreciating the journey and the growth that you have at the end of the day. Once you get to that point, you will automatically know, like, okay, you'll notice the patterns that make you you. you'll notice the patterns that keep you at a level or a frequency that you're constantly delivering what feels like A plus all the time. And then you'll also, because of that, you'll also be familiar with the moments where you're delivering a B plus. It's just gonna feel different, period, because you're gonna be so used to what your greatest moments of just living through your own journey is. But also don't look at it in regards to, all right, this person and this person is going through this. This is making me better or worse, and it increases my value or decreases my
Oh,
value.
sure.
Nah, it's not that. It's
Nah,
intertwining. Everybody got their own journey at the end of the
right.
day.
Absolutely.
Just
And
like
it,
I said before, I might take a sharper curve than you in my journey. You might take a wider curve in your journey or my journey. But at the end of the day, we're going to end up where we need to be.
where we need to be, and it's enough abundance for everybody. You don't need to take from anything or
Oh man.
feel like you have to be in a rush. You
There
know,
we go. There
get
you
there,
go.
like you have to be in a
There
rush
you go.
because being in that rush, you causing resistance to your level up because
Right.
you trying to force everything now. You know what I'm saying? Like you not within yourself. You trying to force outcomes. Instead of you trying to force and predict outcomes instead of letting the outcomes come to you.
Right.
You
And
know,
heck shit, I know everybody heard this statement before. Or at least not the statement, but they know this situation where you trying to get something done, then it can't happen or it don't happen. And then you like, bro, every time I try this, it don't happen. You forcing it. You putting yourself in a race that ain't yours. It's gonna happen when it needs to happen.
right. And then that moment you ease up and you just start living life
Oh
and
my god.
and focusing in those three areas: mental, physical, and spiritual. It happens. Like
Bro,
it just
yo.
happens. Like it happened, and then you be so ecstatic. You be like,
Right?
that's where the God within you would work because
Facts.
you let it go. You let it go. You let it go, and you trusted, and you had that crazy faith that like it's gonna happen. Like you had crazy faith just by letting it go and believing it was gonna happen. And
Facts.
always continue to believe in it.
Facts.
Like even if you didn't wake up every day and say, "I believe it's gonna happen," I believe it's gonna happen. You didn't have to, but and we can argue in ways. If you did that, that would have been kind of forcing it. Waking
True.
up,
True.
waking up
True.
every day doing that. So
True.
and it just happened for like I know because I've been on both ends of it, like forcing things
Yes.
and
Yes.
trying to predict outcomes and stuff, end up self-sabotaging myself.
Yes.
But when I let go, like that's where that term "let go and let God" deal. Like you
There you go. That's what I
let
was looking
go,
for.
you let go, and you have faith that you done made the necessary steps and you done aligned yourself right and put yourself in the right position to where all the opportunities gonna come to you. They gonna come to
Facts.
you and start
Facts.
coming to you. Like you gonna have these little random things where you gonna that you have forgot about that's from
Man.
a seed that you planted years ago. You planted these seeds years ago, and like you
Yeah.
forgot about those seeds. You know what I'm saying? You forgot about those seeds because your intentions was like, I'm gonna put this here and whatever, and I believe this is what it's gonna do. And you don't force nothing. You don't put that extra resistance on there and self-sabotage yourself. So
Facts. Yes. Yes. I've definitely had those moments where it's like, bro, I wasn't even tripping about that. But oh my God, that just happened. Like out of nowhere. I wasn't even
right,
tripping.
exactly.
I forgot all about that. It's a perfect time. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that last statement you had, me personally, I call those connecting the dots because it always seems like there's something else out there that I already did and I probably forget about it or I never really fully committed to it at the end of the day. And then I end up connecting dots, like doing something and leveling up. And then out of nowhere, it'll just pop up and be like, oh, snap, this is another dot right here I can connect. the next thing you know, I done connected several dots, and I'm like, oh snap, the picture coming together now, boy. Yeah, I call those connecting the dots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like you're not doing nothing overly excessive.
Nope.
Yes, and please, nobody out there, listen, don't mistake this as just because this bad amongst Christians. Letting go. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Letting go and letting go and letting God deal don't mean just sit there and pray and
Oh,
just something
yeah,
mystical about to
yeah,
happen. You
yeah,
still gotta take action steps and be actively,
yeah, yeah,
being doing things, putting energy towards what you want to make happen. So
yeah.
when we say let it go and forget about it, we really just emphasizing don't force it. So
Facts.
it's still got to remain. You still have to remain conscious of it and do those little, like I was saying earlier, do those little micro things
Mm-hmm.
that's necessary, and then some.
Yeah.
That 110 you was talking about, then the 120 ET analogy I gave, but it's
Yep.
all this it's same concept.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
this
Man.
podcast is not sponsored by Gatorade.
Or if that's the case, not by Haribo gummy bears either. I sure been sitting here eating them the whole time.
I know I kind of I'm like, damn, if he eating them gummies, why we doing this?
Hey, I was like, every time you talk, that's fine by me. Go ahead and grab some more. But yeah, no, that's real. I mean, I got more to add, but I think that's gonna turn into another discussion as well, because that leads down the path of virtues and whatnot as well.
It's
It's
all about the level up though at
yeah,
the end of
it
the day.
is.
So let's get into it. What you got? What's your thought? We have no thought that's unheard on this show.
Wait, what? No thought that's unheard. Wait,
Uh,
what?
yeah, that came out wrong. I was trying to say something totally
I was about
different.
to say, who out here copying me?
No, well, okay, maybe no thought left behind. Let's
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
thought
yeah.
left behind. There we go. That's more so what I
Okay,
was
yeah.
saying.
Now, with that, with everything we just said, and knowing that, for me, knowing that the root becomes me and understanding of who I am and the energy that fuels me at the end of the day, knowing what I don't need and what I do need to continue that cycle, even when it feels like I'm not actually doing anything. Because sometimes those moments of not doing anything is actually what I need to be doing. Sounds crazy, but no, that's real, especially for me, because the only time I get those moments is when I'm forced to have those moments through pain and suffering, with me being in a hospital or whatnot. I get those moments and it's like God is telling me, all right, you need to sit down because you doing too much right now. You all over the place. And the journey that I have set for you, you're not doing that right now. You gotta think about what's really going on here. And all those are like my resets. And then I reevaluate and keep it going. But I also appreciate the fact that after those moments happen, and like I said, those dots that I'm connecting, which I already said I don't want to break that down too much. I can't help but appreciate other people that come along and point something out. Well, like you're doing. Like a pastor already said, like my granddaddy already said, when I'm already living through my truth at the end of the day, I get to reevaluate what you said or what granddaddy said. And I'm like, dang, I can't help but feel, I don't want to say invincible, but that's how it make you feel at the end of the day. You feel like no matter what it is, no matter the hurdle.
No, you should feel that way because that's how you supposed to feel. That's being abundant. That's being abundant and knowing that no matter what, God, the universe got my back. Like I'm taken care of. Like that's understanding like that no matter what I deal with, my problem is always solved because I'm a son of God, or I'm an energy being in this universe. However you wanna
Right.
however you want to classify it. So like, yeah, for you to feel that way, like that's how you supposed to feel. Like, because it's that's not a lack feeling. That is an abundant feeling. Like, it's no matter what, I'm gonna get the job done. I'm gonna figure it out, you know. So yeah, you supposed to feel
Right.
that way. Like, because
I didn't
that's
think about it like that. Like I've had that feeling of, all right, I don't care what it is, I'm gonna get it done. Definitely. But I don't know, maybe it was just the way I was looking at that. I was looking at it as a hindering, like I feel invincible, but not to the level of I'm gonna go out here and do something stupid. It was just, man, it feels like everything that I'm gonna go through, I'm really appreciating it, and I know I'm gonna succeed. I guess no, that makes sense. I was looking at it differently because
yeah,
I felt like it was like a power of not over somebody else to be like, not over somebody else to be like, nigga, like I know what I'm doing, you don't. Not like that, but it comes across like that. That's why I don't normally say that, but I mean, I get what you're saying. It depends on how I was looking at it. I should feel that way though. That's what you're saying. Period.
yeah, yeah. Like you should have that feeling. It's like what I was saying about the world owes you nothing, but the universe owes you everything. You know, like you entitled to feel like whatever situation you're in, you're gonna get up out of it because you are that being that can get up out of it. You have that power within you to do. Now, nobody of this world owes you anything. Like, I don't owe you nothing. You don't owe me nothing. Like, mom, dad, grandparents, they don't owe you nothing. But you're entitled to that abundance and that feeling that uh that to you you're entitled to that abundance and that feeling that no matter what,
I'll
I'm always taken care of. I'm always taken care of.
You know what? Yeah, no, I see that now. Because now I'm thinking about the previous statement with me saying, all right, yeah, I know what it felt. I know what it took for me to complete it at 100%. And now looking at it on that side as well, feeling like that is what it took to get 120, 110%. Actually, it was that increase. Dang, I never think about this stuff like that, but it makes so much sense. It's like, how did I forget that thought? That makes sense though. I don't know, man. That just kind of shut me down right there. Cause I ain't think about that. Like it really felt like I really always felt like that. And I'm like, dang, I didn't know. The thought that I'm having is somehow how someone can still hinder themselves through greatness. I'm supposed to feel like that, is what you're saying. But yet I've always looked at it as like a hindrance to where it's like, ain't nobody else gonna understand.
You
I
said,
ain't gonna
no,
I ain't gonna trip.
hold on, wait, reword that with the hindrance, like, cause I don't know
It,
if, hold
it
on.
somehow can hinder myself through greatness. That greatness being I'm supposed to feel like that, but with the outlook that I
What
had,
do you mean hinder yourself through greatness?
because of that perspective that I've had, I would never feed into that energy all the way because I would feel like, okay, maybe I shouldn't feel like this. So I would never engage with it all the way. So I'm hindering myself by not truly engaging with it
Okay,
all the way.
okay. All right, all right, all right,
And I was like, dang, it's somehow I can hinder somebody can hinder themselves through greatness. Because that's
yeah.
greatness. I'm supposed to
Okay,
feel like that.
I thought you were saying something else. I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. No. Yeah, you absolutely were, because you felt like it was like you were saying earlier. You was you was at 100, but because you felt like you wasn't supposed to be there, you took yourself back down to 65. Like you said, you hindered your
Yeah,
range. Like you
yeah,
took
yeah, yeah.
yourself back down to six. You took away from your own cup. You know,
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah. I started putting impurities in my own cup, knowing that that was never going to fill it up to 100%.
you took away from your own cups, and like, and I mean, like that's common amongst people because it happens in different ways.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
you allow other people to do it.
Oh my God, yes.
Other people manipulatively do it without with you being like not
Oh my
and
God.
not self-aware enough to recognize it. Like so like it's a normal thing, like it's like that saying say like man, your greatest enemy is yourself at the end of the day. Like
That's
you
real.
you gonna do more self-sabotage for yourself than anybody else could ever do. Like
Man.
period.
Yes.
Period. Like period. Because like you cannot control what other people do.
Nope.
You know how other people move, but you can always control how you react to anything and everything. Always. You can always and let's not even like sit here and act like it's easy all the time. Cause I be the
Oh
like I'm
no.
emotional
Hey.
off rip. Like because I know like I can go like some people call it bipolar. It might be a little bit of it, but I like to think of it as self-awareness because I'm good on going off on people and then coming back down like goddamn. Right. So it might be a little bit of borderline bipolarness a little bit, but I'll be self-aware where I'll be like, dang, that won't even call for that type of reaction or whatnot in that situation. Like I went into overkill on that.
Right.
So that's not to say like in every situation, you're gonna be flawless in it. Like we are imperfect species, yet we're so powerful in our imperfections, you know?
Oh my God, I just had that thought like the last 3 days. I know I had that thought, and I can't think of it right now, but I've had that thought several times and I never dived into it. And now that you say that, it's like, bro, this is the time to dive into it. But I cannot freaking remember that. I'm sitting here thinking about my refocus, and I'm like, bro, remember I was talking about the earlier when we was talking, I was talking about like what phase I'm on in regards to my energy and whatnot. And I feel like I'm on stage 2 of shielding that. And I'm like, dang, bro, I gotta refocus now because clearly I missed a couple pieces here and there, and it's like, oh snap, I gotta go back and reevaluate my process, my blueprint. But then again, that falls right along with what we saying on that quote. I'm becoming everything that I am right now to become who I really am going to be at the end of the day. And it's like, I mean, it's needed at the end of the day. So I really was sitting here thinking about that. Golly, forget the virtues. I need to reset. I need to reset. Gosh, man. I mean, I appreciate it. Like, I think this is probably the most self-reflection that I've had in the episode. Period. It's like, dang, I gotta rewrite my blueprint. And I could think
But
of 3 things though.
I mean, but that's all what that's what we talking about though. That's the whole you didn't know you was about to have a level up
I
experience.
really didn't. Oh, right.
But that's what it's all about. That's how I set the tone of it. Like it's taking moments like this right here, right now, what you just had. And
True.
like damn.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have realized it's a level up moment until I implemented the blueprint. Then I would have been like, oh man, I leveled up. Thanks for the value.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like this what we talking about. So y'all just seen or heard whichever one it is, y'all seen or
Right.
heard uh exactly the challenge that I gave at the beginning. You know what I
All
mean?
about that.
Yeah, like that's it. Cause I'm sitting here
Reevaluating everything right now.
cause I can sense over there. I'm like, dang, bro, in his thoughts right now. So I'm gonna have to pull something up out of this, and then I'm like,
All
oh
right,
shit,
you could tell because I'm like, bro,
leveling
hold
up
up.
right now, you know. And that's one thing about Remy, when it's not hard to know when he in his thoughts because he's less talkative. So he's more in his thoughts and he's thinking, you know. So
Facts.
I was like,
Facts.
bro, in his thoughts right now. He need me to pull this in and bring this back to the level up on
Right,
this.
right. I could
But
easily jump into the combo, but once I start reevaluating this, nigga, shut down.
yeah, but that's what you just did there, and like that's what the challenge is. It's all about. Like I said, this quarter, like reevaluating day in and day out and building on those reevaluating. Like I mean, cause what I'm like, cause like I say with the puzzle pieces, like you gotta it's many of them. So you know, I mean, like that self reflection that you just did right there. That's one of the puzzle pieces. Like it's not. It may not be one of the cornerstones, but it's one of
Facts.
the ones that need to be that's needed for the puzzle to be complete. So it's
Right.
necessary. So
I
it's
mean,
necessary.
well, I know I can definitely do this then. With me having that reevaluation and whatnot, I can actually share. Like I know what I'm going to do. I know how I'm looking at it. I can share that whole pretty much most of the experience, and the experience is this whole reevaluation of me being shut down in my brain right now, like PC reboot, is how in the episodes before, probably 2-3 episodes before, we was focusing on the refocus altogether. And there's been moments even before recording and whatnot, how we have the outside conversations, and I'll speak on how I focused on my energy, and it was, oh man, well, this low key about to just be a whole whole manual. I'm gonna try to keep it short, but through me going through the pain and sufferings and the different moments, the different hurdles in my own life, there were also those moments of where it became stressful, and the things that I was trying to produce, whether it was a hobby or projects that I personally take in or create, I didn't have enough of what I needed to even focus on what I was trying to do, even if I love doing it at the end of the day. And it was like, dang, how can I focus on something else outside of me when I can't even focus on the things that I really want to do or even complete the things that I really want to do? And it's like, okay, I know what it feels like when I'm at 100% nonstop and I knock out tasks that I really want to do or become a part of or create, develop, etc., etc. I know what that energy and momentum feels like. So what can I do to feed into that energy on a regular basis? And I found those things that help me feed that energy on a regular basis, whether it was people or like I have technology, whatever attachments and things that I personally like that I continue to engage in. And we've talked about music and philosophy, things that I like that get me thinking on a regular basis, that keep me having that provoking thought that I need to feed into my energy on a regular basis. And it's like, you know what, I'm going to keep that going. And with me realizing that, it's like, okay, cool. And how I visualized it was, all right, now in me, I have this orb, or I'm this vessel. I need to feel this regularly at 100%. So anything else outside of my energy that I know that I continually feed off of, I'm going to cut off. And once I knew what that, once I began to understand what that feels like on a regular basis, I know that momentum that I was starting to get back. I know what it feels like to function at 100%, no matter what it is that I'm doing. That means I also got a clear understanding of when that is starting to slow down. So though I'm functioning at a A+ on a regular basis, I know what it feels like when I'm functioning at a B+. So I know something is off. Now, at the same time, there are also things that are closer to me that are still outside of myself that feeds that same vessel that I'm trying to keep filled with just my energy to keep me functioning. And it's like, you know what, this energy of this person or this attachment or whatever has nothing to do with me, but yet I'm holding on to it. I'll never be able to get at 100% to function the way that I need to be. I need to let this go. So what I did was gain clarity by releasing that energy directly to the person, whether it was a parent, a sibling, a cousin, whatever it was. I released that, and now I'm no longer just functioning at a 65, 75. I'm functioning at 100%. That's how I got it to 100%. I let go of everything else and just continue to fill myself up with what helped me function properly nonstop. That's what I consider being the phase one. It's like, okay, cool. That's my phase one. Now I know what that feels like regularly. My phase two was or is, I just recently got this, was all right, now that I got this, I need to protect this on a regular basis. Now, this is the point that the me reevaluating everything right now on the episode kicks in, because with me just now having this understanding of, okay, now I need to protect this, the only understanding that I had at the moment was, all right, cool, yeah, just keep the things outside of me contained in that regard. That's the only way I could think of right now to keep it protected. But like I said, within this episode, it's like, you know what? I can also protect it by being able to allow like little spurts of what I think I'm protecting myself from in, so I can engage with that. If I never engage with it at the end of the day, I'll never know the other tests of failure and, success.
Go. There it go.
So
There it go.
that's my phase two. And it's like, oh snap, I really
Like
gotta
yeah,
change it up.
it's like a light bulb going off in your head where it's like, I know my result, what my result is when I don't engage. So
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing to lose to figure it
Right.
out what it is
Right.
when I do engage into it. So
Facts. So
yeah,
that's what all of this is. That's what me shutting down, and my brain was like, "Oh snap, I got to redo this." So that's what that is. That's how I'm looking at that. And hopefully, with me breaking that down all the way, y'all have a better understanding of what we mean when we're saying your own energy and being able to focus on yourself and the journey that you have as well. So
facts, and it's all about the level up, y'all.
and the
So
level up.
that's what we want to focus on, leveling up day in and day out,
Jesus
every
Christ.
day, and building on that, and just watch what type of things just start to happen in your life that's just gonna be so miraculous and a blessing, or however you categorize it.
Yeah, yeah. That's for you. It's for you.
We got some announcement. Well, not necessarily. They say it wasn't not. Well, yeah, I guess it is an announcement. We're gonna do our first live episode. Um,
What?
within a month, within the next 6 weeks. Let's just call it 6 weeks. It'd probably be before, but let's just call it 6 weeks, because as we was doing this podcast,
Oh
I
no,
kind of
y'all.
recording this. I kind of thought of some more ideas of how to you know present that or whatnot, and so we'll most definitely keep y'all uh informed about when we're gonna go live. So anytime we have on the guest, which would be very uh, uh exclusive and rare, um,
Man.
we'll go live and we're gonna see what it do. I hit Remy with that. He wasn't expecting it. I consider myself a very unpredictable guy at times. Because I'm just, I react out of emotions, and because I be so, especially when I feel like I'm within myself. If a thought come to me, I act on it. Like when I'm centered and I know I'm vibing right, something comes to me, I'm like, yep, that's it. And I write it down and I let it take me wherever it take me. You got anything that you want to leave them with, or you good?
No, I think I just left you with a lot right there.
All right, that's I just making sure. You know, I'm on these new values in 2021. I didn't want to make no assumptions. I kind of figured that you was good, but I
Yeah,
want
no,
to
I'm
make
good.
the assumptions. We appreciate y'all for tuning in once again. Another week with us. We love y'all. We see y'all next week. Let's create.
Let's create.